Hey guys! So I thought today I would make a vlog about the worst thing that I ever did at school or university, because a lot of you guys have been asking me this question for a while, and we all know by now that I was a bit of a teacher's pet when I was in school, but I did do a couple of things that I probably shouldn't have done at the time, so I thought I would make a vlog about it today. Plus I have a whole lot of errands to be doing and I can't actually go and do them right now because it's been pouring this morning, so I thought I would wait out the storm. There was thunder and lightning and I was pretty scared. I'm actually by myself at the moment. Adam's at work, and yeah, hi, my name's Jess and I'm afraid of storms. So I thought I would actually just talk to you guys and yeah, make a vlog. If you guys have any more suggestions for upcoming vlogs that you want me to film on this channel, then leave your comments below. Anyway, so when I was in primary school, I was definitely a goody-goody two-shoes, but I guess there were a few things I shouldn't have done. When I was in grade 2, and this is such a cute or sad story, I don't know. I was a very emotional child when I was younger. But when I was 2, I remember my really close friends and I used to take a picnic blanket and we'd all pack different snacks and we'd go during recess or playtime up onto the hill. So we had an oval where we were allowed to play, and at the top of the oval there was a hill and there were some different trees. So we'd actually have a little girls club and a picnic behind the trees. And one day some of the boys came and they were really bothering us, and I think that they were just trying to annoy us because we were 7 or 8 years old. So my teacher found out, and I think I was just in a really bad mood because when I went past her before we had to go into class, she said to me, "Jess, what do you do when someone's bothering you?" And my response, and I think about it now, it's probably my own fault that I ended up getting so upset, but my response was, I looked at her and I said, "I'm not answering you, okay?" And she just stood up, looked down onto me and said, "What did you say?" I absolutely bawled my eyes out. I was terrified. I think I was very moody and just annoyed by what the boys were doing. So I was a little bit rude to her. I was little, I didn't really know what I was saying and I couldn't really control my emotions. So yeah, I was a bit of a moody kid when I was younger. Another thing I remember doing when I was in primary school was we were told to bring something for show and tell. And I remember going to the market with my mum and we saw these little eggs. I don't know if they were quail eggs. They had these little spots on them and I thought they were really cool. So my mum bought me one and I wanted to take it for show and tell. And I was meant to have put it away afterwards, but I didn't. I was actually playing with it near the bookshelf during recess and I was throwing it. I dropped it. It smashed behind the bookshelf. And I was so scared I was going to get in trouble because I knew I had to put it away. So I just left it there. I put a book over it and I have no idea what happened. I'm guessing that the cleaner probably came one day, found a moldy egg and just was absolutely disgusted by that. But that was another thing that I did. I can't remember how old I was then. I think I was in grade 3 or 4, and again I was just really scared of getting in trouble, so I just hid it and yeah, didn't know what else to do. Something I did when I was in high school though, I guess I was getting a little bit more confident, and perhaps when you're a teenager, grade 7, 8, 9, you start to think, being older, you're out of primary school now, you're more mature, you're kind of top dog of middle school or high school, I guess. So I just remember really getting a little bit too chatty with one of my girlfriends, and we were looking out the window and I don't know what it was that we were laughing about. We just kept on being really, really silly, and then our teacher told us to stop talking. Otherwise we would get a late. Apparently if you did anything to hold up the class more than 3 times, you would end up with an after-school detention. So she said that talking was technically holding up the class from learning, and so yeah, if we didn't stop we were going to end up getting a few more crosses next to our name. And I think we just had the giggles that lesson, but we just kept on chatting. And my teacher must have just been having a bit of a bad day because she ended up giving us 3 lates. It was very annoying, but that was actually the reason why I got my only after-school detention in school, or in high school, I guess. So yeah, I wasn't really a naughty rude kid. I was just a little bit chatty, especially when I was like 13, 14, especially when I was in class with all of my really good friends. And you know, when you get the giggles, you just kind of find it hard to control yourself. One other thing though that I remember doing was I was in grade 9 and I had braces and you know, cue the embarrassing stories, but we were never allowed to have gum at school, and I thought one day I was going to be really cool and I was going to chew gum in class. So we were in the computer labs and I was chewing gum and my teacher told me off and she said, "Jess, go and spit your gum out." And I went over to the bin and I tried to spit it out and it got caught to my braces. So I ended up pulling the gum out and it was stuck to my braces, and I just kept pulling and pulling and pulling. It was like a never-ending thing, and the whole class ended up laughing at me. Funny thing, my mum actually used to work at my school when I was a teenager in all the way up to grade 10. She was there. When I was in grade 11, she ended up leaving, but during that time, I remember every time that I would ever get in trouble by my teachers, they would always talk about it in the staff room. So my mum found out, and yeah, she was like, "Jess, you really shouldn't be chewing gum at school." And I was like, yeah, fair enough. But something else I did, so fun fact about me, I think I've mentioned this before on my main channel, but I used to hate reading. When I was a kid, my mum used to try and incentivize me to read by buying me magazines. So anything that I would possibly pick up and just read a little bit, just to expand my vocabulary and improve my spelling, because I was never that great at spelling when I was younger, probably because I wasn't reading much. But yeah, tip there guys, if you need to improve your spelling, definitely pick up a novel and start reading. I remember we had to write a book report, and I think this is in grade 7. So there was no book that I had recently read, and I was not about to pick up a novel and read, you know, 200 pages just to write my book report. So what did I do? I made it up. I actually wrote a book report on a story that I never read and that didn't exist. And I actually ended up getting an A+. I don't know how I pulled that off. Again, my mum worked at my school, and my teacher in the staff room went up to her and said, "Oh wow, you know, your daughter's written such a fantastic book report. It's really just, you know, incredible. Her writing skills have improved, and it was such an interesting story that she read." And mum said to her, "You do realise that she made that up. She never read that story." So thanks mum for giving away my secret. I actually didn't get in trouble for that, but I did did end up being told by my teacher that I really shouldn't make up stories. She didn't actually, get me in trouble. There was no consequences because, you know, it was all about assessing my writing skills and that sort of stuff. But yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. And one other thing to finish off, there was one thing I actually did that was pretty naughty at school. So we had a spelling test. It was for another language I was learning, and my friend and I were sitting in class. Now, I actually didn't realize this until after we got in trouble. So spoiler alert, yes, we did get in trouble. Not too much, we just got told off, because I was, you know, typically a very good student. So when I did do something wrong, my teachers weren't really too harsh on me. But I didn't really study for that test at the time. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was just a bit of a chaotic week. So I kind of glanced over at my friend's answers. I think this was in grade 8. And she apparently did the same thing to my paper. So we actually ended up both scoring the same score on the test, which is how our teacher found out that we clearly cheated. Now, I've got to say, actually, when I did get told off by my teacher, again, I felt so guilty, and I was a very sensitive kid. So I ended up crying, and honestly, guys, it's so not worth it. Don't cheat on your tests. Save yourself the guilt. It's just a test, you know, really. If you haven't studied, just do your best, and yeah, know that you can always try and do better for next time. But yeah, I did cheat on a test once, guys. It was one time. It was a tiny little mini quiz. I know it's horrible, but I promise I've never done it ever again after that. I was told off once and I learnt my lesson. So yeah, that was probably the worst thing I ever did at school. And yeah, I think that's all of the things that I can really tell you about when I was at school and in high school. I never did anything that bad at university. I was pretty studious by the time I started uni and started studying psychology, because I really loved what I was doing, and I think I just, you know, matured a fair bit by the time I turned 18. But yeah, comment below if you have any embarrassing stories from school, or if you ever got in trouble at school and looking back you find it really funny, and you kind of just are able to distance yourself from that situation and just look back and laugh about it, because I think at the time all of those situations were really emotional for me. I felt really guilty, or they were really uncomfortable, but looking back you kind of just think, what was I doing? And yeah, you just have a bit of a laugh. So anyway, they were the worst things I ever did at school, and I am now going to go head on out. I've got a whole lot of errands to do, but I will see you guys in a little bit. Bye!